right now.
Oh, good.
Hello, all of you lovely lovelies out there in Facebook and Cyberland, and Happy New Year, happy 2023 from us at Love Speaks. And yeah, we're all coming from I'm coming from a holiday patch, a little space that I'm staying at in Taupo today. And Bev and Claudia, welcome to another one of our beautiful Love Speaks.
The first one for the year. It feels like a long time since we caught up. Well, I suppose it is. It's probably a month.
It is a month, yeah. We had to leave it for a little while and let you get well again, Bev.
Well, I did.
Yes.
I had all my family from all over Australia come for a visit as well, which was just lovely.
Oh,
Having my grandkids together for the first time for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so special.
It is. Yep.
Yep. And we've got to take that time now, to connect to all of our loved ones a wee bit more, I think. I know I feel like that way.
That's how I've been feeling too. In fact, I've set up times with my 3 granddaughters that are up in Paraburdoo so that we have a Zoom call once a week. Yeah, because otherwise we just only see each other once a year. It's like it's too far in between.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is. Special times with our families at the moment, I feel.
Especially as grandmothers, I feel like we have been shut out a bit. You know, like, how do I say? It's like if I go to tell them off, it's like it's not acceptable. But as a grandmother, it's like we have a right to have an input into our grandchildren's lives. And it feels like we've become so, I don't know, prissy. I don't know what the word
politically correct,
is. Like, yeah. And it's only the parents that can actually go, don't do that.
No, not in my house, but yeah.
No, not in your house.
No.
No. Well,
we share responsibility with Macy anyway, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it takes a village.
She's living with you.
Yes.
So that does make a difference.
Yeah, and it really takes a village to raise children, I think. And having the input of the grandparents, I think, is so valuable.
Yeah.
I totally do.
Look, I remember my grandparents and the things they taught me. Like, was always welcomed with my favourite food, and my pop would take me around the garden and feed me out of the garden because there was always plenty of food in his garden. And it's like, these are the things that I really remember, and it felt really loved by them. But they certainly wouldn't take any nonsense. If you played up, you certainly got told, don't do that.
I think boundaries were a bit stricter in our time too, eh?
Yeah, I think so. And kids can't actually set boundaries for these days.
No.
It's so individual and so determined.
It is. Yeah, for sure. And that sort of really brings us into the topic for today's talk too, is around what is our business?
Yeah.
You know, I get a little where my dilemma is in that is that it's about so, you know, if we work energetically, if we think about things energetically, vibrationally, there's parts of so let me get my thoughts together here for a second. So it's like when I think about what's happening in the world, that for me now is none of my business. I just do not want to plug in and empower it in any way. So for me, whenever I'm being drawn into something again, I'm like empowering it to be there. So for me now, it's like, well, none of my business. I don't want to empower it. So therefore I'm leaving it there. I don't even want to plug in for a moment and give it any type of empowerment at all. And then, you know, you see something happening out on the street and, you know, you sort of, you know, I've gone and rescued women from being bashed and things like that before out on the street. And that for me, I'd do it all the time. It wouldn't bother me to continually do that. For me, there's certain times where I feel like, no, I'm witnessing this. It's not okay. And she needs help, or that person might need some help. Then I might get involved. And I know there's other times too where I've said, none of my business, you know, and then I think, well, was that just blindfolding and blinkers? And, you know, when are we burying our head in the sand and when are we not? And what is our business and what isn't in many ways? You know, that's for me. And I, you know, because the dilemma for me was around people going out and protesting around this last 3 years, you know, putting it all out on Facebook and all that. It wasn't something I wanted to do, and I haven't done that. I'm clear on my views around it and how I feel and all of that over these last 3 years. But yeah, it's that whole thing of I felt like I wasn't doing enough,
Yep.
you know, and that, yes, it was my business, in my own way, but I didn't want to. So the empowering it by putting my energy to it and into it, I'm just empowering it to be there.
Tricky, isn't it?
It is.
That part's really tricky because we need to be informed about what's going on. You know, the fact that from what I've been reading, this trying to bring in this digital ID, both in Australia and New Zealand, that is my business. And how do we stop that if we don't do something? But I'm at odds to know what would I do.
Yeah,
you know, it's all very
Well, the thing again is that when we energetically put into it, we're empowering it more to be there more, and we're giving it more power. So for me, even that, I'm like, I'm trying to take caution in the sense of what I might do with my finances, but then again, I'm not out there protesting. I'm not trying to stop it in any way other than energetically not giving it any energy.
Not giving it any.
For me, it's for me, my business, I feel, is to create my world.
Yep.
And empower that more into being, which will leave that stuff there behind and way over there. I won't have a connection to it. And I know and this is the other part for me, is that we know that this is the dome we live under. And therefore it's going to affect us. It's not going to affect us, because it is.
Yeah. That's the tricky part.
Exactly. But I also feel that if so many of us, and maybe all of us, did not put any energy into it, who would do it? Nobody. It'd be the same as if they said, okay, we're going into lockdown now. Okay, well, who would do that? We won't do that again. I'm not doing that again.
No.
You know.
It was interesting yesterday when I was at the supermarket, because I do my best at always paying cash and not going through the self-service. It's like this little thing that I have. Anyway, I said to the guy, I said, oh, look, I know you don't see cash often, but here you go. He said, actually, more and more people are playing with cash. Awesome. And they're having to put more staff on because people are objecting to going through the self-serve. I went, oh, so people are paying attention and waking up. So I guess that's part of how we do it is, you know, like for me, I do have a fairly big mouth. I can't help myself some days. But even when I'm in the shop, I'll just say a little something that may help people. Like, well, the other day, the guy, I said, how are you going? He said, oh, I'm all right this month. My mind's not doing whatever he said he was doing. And I said, well, you are in charge of your mind. Nobody else is. And he sort of looked at me. So, you know, maybe just planting a little seed. But still, that was really none of my business. But I had an opportunity and I heard what he said. So I did what I know. And I think that's where I find my business is when I see something like it's right in front of me and I have something that I can offer, then I will. If I've got nothing to offer, well, then later I'm off. But
I think it's important too that we remember, to us, what we say or what we do is easy and may not feel very hard, may not feel big, you know, in the moment. It might just be something to us is quite small because, you know, it may be something that we understand in our brains so deeply. It's just common knowledge.
In our world.
Yeah. But then when you say that to him, it could make such a huge impact.
Yeah, well,
It's planting seed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it is. It's planting seeds. And I guess that's where I find my business is, to plant seeds.
Yeah.
In a loving,
Seeds of hope.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. The other part for me was like when with my kids growing up, even now, with my intuition, with my knowing, I know when things are going to occur for them. And I have this, you know, this is coming, you know, and one of the things I've really had to not do is interfere in that. And that's, again, has been where I've gone, you know, none of my business, even though I know it's going to create some disruption and some unhappy state. It's like they have to experience this. This is something they've obviously got to go through. And that there's been difficult, I have to say, over the years, knowing some of the drastic strike that was coming in. But and that there's sort of is always my business too, even though I might not act or action anything to prevent it from happening, because it's their journey, their stuff, not my business. I know just to be there as a support person, really, in that way.
Yeah.
This is a big subject. This is a massive subject. And I think that what we're doing, like what you were saying, Mandy, about not giving things your energy and your attention. And Bev, you were saying, but what can we do? Because it is going to affect us. And I think we're doing it, like having conversations like this, putting it out into the ether, into the world, just bringing it up and bringing it into the light and talking about it. I think that is a big thing. It's huge to do that. And to say, you know, posing that question to ourselves, what is our business? What is my business? Like just asking yourself that question starts to make you become conscious of your choices and what you pay attention to and things like that. Yeah. Because you're right, man. You're right. It's where our energy goes, where energy flows where attention goes. That's the same. Energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah.
So where we choose to put our attention, you know, where what we choose to talk about, what we choose to be conscious of, that is where we're putting our energy.
Yeah.
So just asking ourselves the question, what is my business? Just that question alone is going to direct our attention in that direction.
Yes. And you know yourself how when, you know, somebody's made a comment about you, you know, and it's not a pleasant one, and it might be face to face, it could be something you see online somewhere, and, you know, we instantly just, this is always what we do, human does it, don't we, is we just instantly absorb that in and start turning it around and attacking ourselves with it, bashing ourselves up. And again, now I've come to that place, none of my business. Whatever anyone thinks of me is none of my business. And I'm really quite happy to just sit in that space. It really isn't any of my business. I it's not that I don't care, I care about everything, but it's that it's not my business and I'm not going to give it energy. If I know that not to be true particularly, then that's definitely, I will not put energy to it at all.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's sometimes difficult, isn't it, when, you know, it's been such a deep program, is when somebody says something negative about it, that's what impacts right through the cells of our body.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, that's a...
No, I've said to people, you know, that's actually not my stuff, that's your stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
don't try and give it to me and push it on to me. It's not mine. You take that and you go and deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as I've, you know, I checked, was it mine? Is there anything I need to check with that?
Yep.
Comment, whatever it might be. And actually, no, it's just you having a tanty and you go and sort yourself out. None of my business.
It's called projection.
Yes. Yeah. It's being aware, like really finding where that is, what that is for you, you know, and sorting through it, because it took me years to get to this place, like years.
Yeah.
And even now I can still have a pang of something, you know, turn up when I read something, if not that I do anymore either, but it's just those things, you know, and it's just this old pang of fear or shame, guilt, whatever might come in with the wording. Yeah. And it's not a nice feeling. They're not nice feelings.
Yeah, look, I remember hearing that what other people think of me is none of my business, I don't know, 30 odd years ago. But it takes a while to actually get to that. You know, it's not something you just go, oh, none of my business. Oh, okay, moving on, because you know we've held so much for so long.
Yeah. And as
So
children,
it takes practice.
yes,
It takes practice.
As children, we are. If we don't belong, if we're outcast from the tribe, then how do we look after ourselves as children? So biologically, we are made to want to belong. Because it's a survival mechanism. It's if we don't belong to a tribe and we're outcast, we die.
Yeah.
So of course it's going to be a negative thing in you know, it's going to pang something in us if our tribe is rejecting us. But what we have to do is say, okay, well, I'm not being rejected. It's not going to end my life if somebody doesn't like me.
Yeah.
You know, thank you, brain, for being there to keep me safe. But you're not needed in this moment, you know, and rise above it, because that's what I've had to do for myself, is rise above, have faith in myself. You're a good person. This person may not see it or may not connect with you, but I'm good. I feel good with myself. I haven't done anything wrong. You know, like, did I do that? Am I doing something wrong? Of course, you're going to ask yourself those questions.
Yeah.
Is this person right about me? You know, and then if I'm good with myself and what I've done, and I know that this is just rumors or it's just somebody else kind of bad mouthing me because they're jealous or whatever it is, I move on. Because I can't control that person.
No, you can't.
If I'm going to be jumping through hoops to make this person happy, then I'm going to be unhappy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And we've wasted too many years being in that space, you know, with life and family and people and, you know, just life. So you know, I choose not to be there any longer.
Yeah. And when we let it go, they're no longer in control of us. We're in control of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that if you live in accordance to your own integrity and heart, then that is not hurting anyone. You're not intentionally willing to hurt anyone. You're living for you and doing what's right for you. Then if any single one person out there, many people have any issue to that, that is absolutely not your thing or our thing.
Exactly.
You know.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really checking yourself to see whether you actually have spoken out of turn or done something,
Mm.
but really checking in with that. Because sometimes I think I do speak out of turn. Um, don't laugh. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if you do, Bev. They probably deserve it.
No, I think sometimes I need to just sit back and just go, yep, okay, I need to apologise for that. Or, you know, sometimes I do. And would like to bite my tongue and pull it all back in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because sometimes I do get caught into other people's dramas,
Mm.
which is not my business.
Yeah.
I
So
need
hard
to,
to stay out of drama, though. It's
yep,
really
sometimes.
hard to stay out of drama.
It is. But you know, like just being around a group of people, and a certain one was sort of pushing buttons for the others, you know, and I've learned to just glide over. Can you hear all that racket? Sorry. Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Oh, great.
Have you got drum beats happening too?
It's the rubbish truck, and he's filling out emptying all the glass bottles. It's so noisy. But yeah, and in that, you know, it's like that's something that there were three people involved, and it's those three people that were involved. Nobody else had to get involved in that. This one person was projecting, but it was pushing buttons. And so therefore, for me, it's like, okay, well, this is for you to have a look at why this is pushing buttons for you, you know? So that's the sort of info I might put in, and, you know, when we're in a conversation about it at all. But other than that, I won't step in the middle of that, you know, and sort of go, hang on a minute, to the one that's pushing the buttons. Not my business. It's not affecting me. So therefore, how it affects those others is not my business either. You know, and if they want to discuss it with me, which they sort of did, well, then I can give some sort of practical bit of advice or whatever, even help them process it. But yeah, there's times when, like that, when I see things happening, and I might have, earlier years, I would have said something, or yeah, hey, hang on a minute, you know, because it may have been that she was even pushing a few of my buttons. But in that now, it's like, well, no, I don't need to get involved. I don't need to put my energy there. It's not my stuff.
And I kind of ask myself, when I see that going on, I kind of ask myself, is it that important to get involved? Like, really, is it that important to me? I've learned my lesson so many times. Getting involved in a you know, taking sides,
yes,
in an argument you're seeing happening in front of you, and then afterwards going, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just stayed out of it.
That's right.
So now I kind of like go, is it important for me? Like, do I really need to put my 2 cents in? And who am I putting the 2 cents in for? Is it for them, or is it for me?
For your ego.
Yes.
Exactly. That's where I used to be there.
Yep. Definitely.
So I'm just adding fuel to the fire that, you know, would have burnt out probably a lot quicker if I just left it alone.
Yes. And one of the things that I just cannot stand, and this will really push my buttons, is when somebody pokes into my business that's none of theirs. You know, like, I don't know if I've mentioned this online before. I know Bev and I've talked about, but I think I might have brought it up at one convo too, is about the registration on my car in COVID and how it had lapsed, and we weren't allowed, you know, they were giving us till October or something to get it sorted. And at the supermarket, I'm sitting outside on the phone to Bev in my car, and this man's looking at my front window, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And he wouldn't go away, and he just kept tapping, and then he came up and tapped my rego on the windscreen. You know, it's expired. And you know, and I mean, I just want to get really sarcastic and stupid with them, but I just said to him, look, COVID, we've had extension. Oh, yeah, that's right. But really, that's not what I wanted to say.
Oh, well
And
done.
that's really not what he wanted to hear either.
No, it wasn't. And that's the thing. Most times those people want a bit of an argument or a confrontation, don't they?
They want to be
I
right.
just can't be
They
bothered.
wanted to be
Yes.
right. Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
be right.
Yeah.
Yes. I do remember somebody doing that to me. Your rego's out. I went, yes, I'm off to pay it today. But it was like, what business was it of his?
Exactly.
And it seems to be older men that push my buttons like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That Michael Hill, no, not Michael Hill. Whitehall, he's a comedian, and him and his dad went on a tour. Or he took his dad on the tour with him.
Yes.
And Dad's
Yeah.
a very, very, plum in the mouth English man. And he calls his wife mummy, that time. And they went into the shop in Canada or somewhere, and this woman said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" And he looked at her like this. He went, "Fine, thank you." And then he walks over to his son. He said, "Who the fuck does she think she is to ask me how I am? None of her fucking business." I was so shocked. I was gobsmacked. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. None of their business how he was that day or any day. But oh my gosh, that was so weird. And I just thought, oh no, I'm not there.
It's taking it a little bit too far there.
It was, yeah. But again, even hearing that, and later on, after I got past the shock of it, I thought, well, actually, fair enough. Fair enough. If that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But yeah, funny. That was a crack up. That's a funny show, that one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. I used to watch it as well. Made me laugh.
Yeah,
I've never seen it, so I'm going to have to watch it now.
It's because he's so poncy, and then he comes out with fuck, and you think, oh, wow, I wouldn't even think he'd say that at all. Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, and this time right now, I think is the time where and I think over the last, we keep bringing these last three years in all the time as a reference place, because it shifted so much and it stood so many things out for us.
Yeah.
To give us a good look at where we were, I suppose, and where we're at. But I think over these last few years, what it's done for me is it's really pulled, I feel like there's a trench now, like a really big trench, where all that stuff for me is over there. And all I'm focused on is creating my world the way I want it to be, the way I wish it to be, the way I'm, living it every day, the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
So that world for me is becoming further and further away. And I know there's still these little bits that keep, coming up, like digital identity. There's still the talk of it all, but I know this year is where it all dissolves. This and next year, but mainly this year, it's just going to go. And so and again, the only way it will is by us not focusing our attention to it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, how awesome will that be?
Really good, eh?
We did need a big shake up, because we'd all got so complacent. We just let the government run everything without really questioning what they're doing. I remember saying to my brother, I said, look, we all know that the politicians are corrupt. He goes, yeah. And it's like, just, yeah, and shake
It's so accepted, eh?
Yeah, we just accept that they're corrupt. They went in, and they probably went in with all good intentions. Maybe some didn't. But what happens once they get in there is quite beyond me. They do.
Yeah.
There's something gets twisted, and the bureaucracy takes charge, and everybody's out to get as much as they can.
That's right.
If you notice that any big institution or any kind of industry that holds influence over people, so you like politicians and the government, Hollywood and movies, the medical industry, even colleges and universities and that kind of thing, any huge big industry that creates an opinion in the world or can have an influence over masses of people, they all, every single one of them is corrupt. They all have their own internal culture of corruption in different levels and different ways.
Yeah.
And that is something that was highlighted for me in the last 3 years, because before that, I didn't see it. I didn't have a clue about it. And it was everything that was happening in front of me that was starting to, because I always had a feeling, you know, you have feelings about something like, that's not right. I don't feel like that's right. Like, why is this happening? Little things that were happening that just, I was being told this is the good for Australia. This is good for Australia. And then I'm thinking, how is that good for Australia? You know, industry going overseas and, you know, us exporting things to China and then buying stuff back and things like this. Like, how is that good for Australia? Just questions. And then over the last 3 years, I started to see a pattern happening in front of my eyes, because it ramped up and it was all in your face. And then I started to go, oh, now I know. Now I see it. And I think that happened for a lot of people. You know, it had personal, you know, the trench you're talking about, Mandy, it had personal consequences also. So there was many levels of consequences and eye-opening things that happened over those years. But this one for me was one of the biggest ones, because I was in an institution. I was at TAFE when it was all happening, and things that were happening at TAFE in front of my eyes, I couldn't understand. I was like, why are they making us go in one door? They're making us walk through one door, right? We all come to TAFE, and they told us, this is what you're doing now. We all come to TAFE and we have to arrive at a certain time. So we had a half-hour window to arrive. You go in one door, you go to your classroom, and then everybody flows the same way through and then out the back door. And we were doing that for nearly a year. And I think they're still doing it, actually. They might still be doing that. And it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why are we doing this? Like, how is that minimizing germs?
Yes, I've been very happy to see them taking some of their arrows off the floor of some of the supermarkets.
Just stuff like that,
oh,
you know,
really?
like how your brain goes ping. Why are we doing this? How is this saving my life? And then watching, so this was the other thing, I was questioning it, right? So I'm going, I don't know, I don't get this. And watching other people just do it without questioning.
Yeah. Without
saying anything to anyone, and just being like this little tin soldier that was just doing everything that they were telling them to do.
So, Claudia, did you ask management why we're doing this? And what was their answer?
Yes. So we were told that we needed to wear masks, right, in the workshop, because I was at TAFE making jewelry. That's right. And we were told that we needed to wear masks in the workshop while we're doing fire, like putting fire on things and heating up metal. And I mean, the place, everything is about safety, right? And everything is about learning how to do things safely. And so when we were told we had to wear masks, and I brought up to the powers that be at TAFE, I said, I am not wearing a paper mask, you know, those surgical masks. Yes. I'm not wearing a paper mask while I am holding fire in my hands. I'm not doing that. I will not do that, because I know I would rather take my chances with a super bug, which is the C, then take my chances that my mask will go up in flames and disfigure me. Like, I know that is more likely to happen to me than the other one. So I'm not doing it, because you obviously do not care about my safety right now. You've shown me with these rules that you do not care that I could go on fire. And then there was this big thing about it at TAFE, and then they said, okay, you don't have to wear paper masks, because obviously my complaining made them think, oh, she's right. And then we had to wear cotton masks. So no more paper masks. Now we have to wear cotton masks. And I did some research and I said, cotton masks do not work. Breath gets through them. So why am I wearing it if breath is getting through? And spittle will go in onto the mask and absorb in. Why am I wearing this? It's not going to work. And so then they changed it from cotton masks to those N95 masks.
Oh, so yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. It was just incredible. And then in the end, there was so much pressure. There was so much pressure for me to wear a mask because I wouldn't do it, that I had to actually go and get an exemption, a medical exemption, so that they would stop harassing me, because they were actually threatening people. If they didn't wear it, they would call security to come up and get them off the campus. They weren't allowed to enter the building if they didn't wear one. So then I went to security and asked the guy at security, because I knew him from being at TAFE. And I said, if one of the departments came to you and said, so-and-so is not wearing a mask, are you allowed to escort them off the premises? And he said, no, I'm not allowed to do that. But they were making these threats to people that were not true.
Yeah.
Coercive control.
So you made it your business. You made it your business.
Yeah, because my life, my safety was being compromised, actually being compromised.
Yeah, then you've got to make it your business for sure.
100%. And there were people, and I was seeing people at TAFE wearing paper masks while they were heating up their metals. And I was thinking,
so dangerous.
If a gust of wind came, or if anybody, pushed their hand, or if anything happened and that flame came anywhere near that mask.
Yeah. And because it's got something in the paper mask has got something in between the two pieces that would just stick to the face.
So there was no way, like my common sense and my alarm bells were my alarm bells just wouldn't allow me to say yes to it.
I
couldn't say yes to it. It was like this survival alarm bell was going, Claudia, you cannot do that. Really unsafe.
And I
obviously saw it too, because they then changed the rules because of it.
Yes, I know. So many would, I bet so many just went along with that and did as they were.
Just that, seeing all of that happen in front of me was enough to make me just go, this, like my brain was just like, Claudia, this is not right. This is just not right. What's going on here? It was like being in a dystopian movie, and seeing the zombies in front of you, and you're going, what is happening here?
Yes, common sense sort of went out the window.
Which is what we're talking about here. What is my business?
And
what isn't my business? And that takes common sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
It takes a thought process in your mind, and it takes you no fear. You have to have no fear, because a lot of people at TAFE were doing what they were told because they were afraid of being kicked out or being
Yes.
confronted in somehow. Like some of the younger people, some of them came to me and said, how come you don't wear a mask? And they were asking because they didn't want to have to wear a mask.
Mm.
And then I went through the process with them and I showed them, because I had printouts of the law, like what was going on the government website and things like that. So I had printouts of stuff. And when people came to me, I would show them, this is what's on the website, go home, look it up for yourself and find it for yourself. And stuff like that. Because some people did come to me and ask me, how come you're not wearing a mask? But other people would look at me like, and teachers too, how come you're not wearing a mask?
Mm.
You know, because they believed that if I wasn't wearing a mask, they were going to get sick. They truly believed that. They were wearing a mask.
Yeah.
But if I didn't wear one, that was endangering their life.
Or it's pushing their buttons because they really didn't want to wear them and they
That's
weren't strong
more
enough
to the
stand
point.
up to it.
Yeah. But they
Yeah.
would use the excuse, like they weren't willing to admit that they were.
Might have felt like you. Yeah.
Yes, they weren't willing to admit that because of fear or whatever. So they would use the excuse, you're endangering me.
Mm.
Well, we got fed that line over and over till it was so embedded. And when you're so used to living in fear, because most people live in fear all the time, it just runs through their body.
Yeah.
So it didn't take very much. Just took all of those things on telly every day. How many got sick? How many blah 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 blah? Just to really embed it in the cells of people's body.
Yes,
exactly.
You know,
that just goes to show then, because I don't watch television. I haven't watched TV for the last 8 years, maybe.
Yep.
So that just goes to show that's something you can do. That's your business. Don't watch
Turn
TV.
the television off.
Turn it off. That's your business. Look
Yes.
after the cells in your body. Look after what goes on in your brain. Look after the diet that you have of consuming media.
Yeah, what do you feed yourself?
Yeah, that's your business. That's your business. And I had a friend who was, we were talking, this was a long time ago before everything, and she had anxiety. And we were talking about something that was on the news. And I said, why, if you've got anxiety, particularly if you've got anxiety about this sort of thing, why are you watching the news? Why do you do that? And she said, but I have to watch the news so I know what's going on. And I said, but it's giving you anxiety. It's making it worse. So why would you do that? And she said, well, because I need to be informed. Like, to her, not watching was worse than the anxiety. So not being informed was worse to her than feeling the anxiety of watching it.
Yeah.
So that says to me, her ego is more important to her than her mental health.
Yes, but a lot of people can't live from their own free will. They have to be led. They have to be told what to do.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't. They just can't make up their own minds and decisions.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. And so that was a massive lesson to me, because my choice would have been, oh, that's giving me way too much anxiety. I'm switching it off. And that would have been a no-brainer to me. But for me to hear her say that was a shock to me, because I was like, why? I don't understand that choice. I don't get that. But then I realized it's because it's the conditioning. She's always done it. She's always watched the news. She's not connecting that the news is what's giving her anxiety. You know, the fear, the fear economy. Yeah. You know, and if she's already feeling this kind of anxiety, this is just going to feed into that. And what you said, Mandy, that she's not in control because she can't make that decision for herself, because she's told that if you're not informed about what's going on in the world, there's something wrong with you. You
know, one of the things that I tell people when when they start getting wrapped up in what's going on in the Ukraine or whatever, I just
Yeah.
go, have you looked out your window? What is actually happening in your world rather than what's on the television? If you didn't have the television, you wouldn't know any of that stuff, and
It's so true.
it wouldn't impact your life.
Yes.
You know, it's like we get so bombarded with somebody else's opinion that we take it as truth.
Yes.
Like, I think somebody, you know, the Ukraine war was forefront at the time, and I said, so do you actually know somebody that lives in the Ukraine? Do you know somebody that lives in Russia? Do you actually have personal experience, or is it only what you're seeing on television that you're making all your assumptions from?
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you guys remember in the 80s Live Aid?
Yeah.
I think that was one, well, it was the first time that the media projected those images out to us about Africa and the children, the starving children. And then Bob Geldof saw it and made that Live Aid. I think that was the first time that the media realized what an impact, well, maybe it wasn't the first time they realized, but I think it was the first time that it was such a huge impact on the world.
Well, the world came together. It was
Yeah.
brought together.
Those images were projected out into the world, and Live Aid was the result.
Yeah.
And I know from years ago, not all that money went to Africa.
No.
All the money that was raised through Live Aid, only a trickle of it went to the kids in Africa. The rest of it went God knows where. And I think that was like a litmus test, because that changed the world. You know, I'll never forget it. I was a young teenager at the time, how huge that whole thing was, and how everybody was talking about it. There was songs coming out. There was lead up to Live Aid. There was money. Like, there was so much money that was injected into that. But the media then knew, wow, look at what we've done. Look at how
much control we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you look how many years, and this has been, you know, I'm 64 now. This has been for 64 years. I've watched, well, since TV came out anyway, and they started putting adverts on. Feed the Children, starving kids in Africa and all over the place, and the billions of dollars that has been gifted and donated towards that, and we still have ads today of starving African children in Africa or wherever.
People aren't saying to themselves,
never got to where it's meant to go.
And people aren't going to themselves, hang on a minute, I thought we had something huge like Live Aid that was supposed to fix it.
Yeah, well, there's been so many you know, we talk about corruption, and I know we all know that this is where it is too. But you're talking about that lady and things, and it's, you know, I often say to people when I hear but you know, what if this was to happen, and there's the stories of their worry, you know, and they'll tell me about what they're worrying about and how it's affecting them, the anxiety, blah blah blah. And I'll you know, I hear myself say it so many times to so many people, is that what you're saying is actually you're telling yourself a story. Those events have not happened. They are all stories that you're running over in your mind. And if you feel into how they make you feel, which is unhappy, scared, you know, trauma sometimes from the stories people tell themselves, this is affecting the body, but it's all a story. And why would you want to tell yourself that story when it makes you feel so bad?
Yeah.
You know, unhappy, sad, whatever. And those, when we tell them often enough and our body is so resigned to those feelings, will create, as we know, illness and disease. So it is all just a story. And this is, again, where I go is none of my business. you know, because I'm over the storytelling. I'm over my own storytelling. I don't go there. If I start, I just instantly now know when I'm doing it, and I click out. And I just don't engage, and I do not give energy to anything now that I don't want to give energy to. It's like I'm so conscious about where my energy's flowing, and I'm always just directing it in the most positive and the best way that I know for myself and my family, but myself mainly. And I never ever paid attention to me, you know, never. I was everyone else first, and Mandy came in whenever. You know, whenever that might be. I might add a free moment to give myself. But now I'm very conscious of me. I'm very conscious of what I'm willing to create into my field and into my life, and not allowing, you know, we went out, being here on holiday for a minute, and we went out for dinner last night, and the first woman we came to at the door, who was a receptionist woman, had this freaking attitude, you know. And in that moment, I could have just absolutely, I was just on the verge of, okay, I might make this my business and say something. And I didn't. She got by my, you know, instead of saying, good evening, how are you, welcome, would you like a table? She just stared at us and waited like, yes, what do you want? Never opened a mouth. Oh my God, it just really riled me in that second. And I thought, oh my God, I just want to say some stuff to you. And then I thought, no, I'm not giving you that energy. I'm not giving you that. I'm not empowering you to be more like that, you know, because that's really what she wanted. She was surly all night, and her T-shirt was Boss Lady. She had a Boss Lady written on the front of her T-shirt. Oh, right.
Yep.
You're the boss.
I'm proving I am the boss lady.
No, but just that there, it was like, yep, I could so get into that, but I just didn't want to spoil our night. And why would I want to, you know, by somebody that goes around probably like that every day, affecting people, you know. Well, I wasn't going to let her do that to us and have our evening ruined. So, you know, things like that happen all the time. And there is a choice. And I know earlier on in my life, that woman, she wouldn't have stood a chance, because I would have been reactive, very reactive, you know.
Hey, Mandy, you know, you said about not telling yourself that story. So one of the ways that I managed to stop myself telling myself all these stories was I used to drive a school bus, and I had like 40 minutes before I picked up the first child. So in that time, I would be watching my thoughts, and I'd go, what's my thoughts doing? Running all the way over there. And I'd pull them back. So I had that 40 minutes of just me and the road, because nobody else is on it. And I had that time to bring myself back. So now I can like easily see if my thoughts start to run away. It's like I put them back. I'm in charge of it. I don't have to play into this story that, I don't know, just keeps on running. And you have no clue where it's going to.
No, because we chatter all the time in there.
Our minds are always busy, yabba. But, you know, now I can actually tune into my thoughts and go, oh, okay, come back to centre and be present.
Yeah.
Ladies, have you noticed that over the years, the stories that you're telling yourself have gotten more and more, well, not weird, but maybe weird. They've gotten stronger.
You're asking us.
They've gotten stronger, and they've gotten like more insidious. Have you noticed that? Because I remember being a young adult and never having this story stuff going on in my head. But as I get like the older I get, I don't know if it's my age or if it's something going on out there. I don't know, but the stories are getting worse and worse and more kind of ramped up over the years. And I've asked myself that the other day. I was like, I don't ever remember, because sometimes the stories really, really are far-fetched. They really go there. And I don't remember as a child them doing that, or even a young adult ever going to
I
that
think
extent.
that's
It's
when you
more
need to go
imagination.
in charge.
Yeah.
Is it using your imagination more? Is that what's happening? Expanding
Catastrophizing.
it a bit, or
It's catastrophizing. It's
Catastrophizing.
like,
oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like that's when you're in charge and you pull them back,
yeah,
come back into the present.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to do that more. But what I've noticed is the quality of the stories that I'm telling myself, the direction where the thoughts go are so much worse than what they were before.
yes,
They're just, and sometimes I laugh at myself and go, Claudia, why is your brain going there? Like, what are you thinking about? You know, it's like I'm observing myself going down that road and then
right.
laughing and going, where are you going? You know,
Well, maybe you always have, but you didn't ever really notice it. Now you
yeah,
notice.
maybe.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Mm.
It's something that I need to stew on. Like, I need to figure it out because it's been coming up lately more and more. And
Yeah.
that's why I asked you, because I wanted to know whether I'm the only one doing it. Am I the only one going down those weird, wonderful directions, you know?
No, I very rarely even paying attention. I very rarely say anything in my head much now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm.
You know, it's very quiet in there, which is lovely.
Yeah.
These days, I must say, there are days that I might be chattering all day, but most days it's quite calm and silent. And yeah, I can be even looking at that beautiful view of the lake out there today, and I'm seeing boats and people paragliding and all sorts, but I'm not narrating.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whereas I used to
Yeah.
narrate.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, and keep myself occupied with, and have a giggle, you know, I'd give myself a laugh and all sorts. And I still might give myself a laugh on things, but it's not the stories that I used to talk.
What about when you're going to sleep at night?
No, gosh, no. See that again, that's something I would have been. I would have laid there and gone
Yeah.
over all the stuff.
Mulled over everything.
Now, God, no, I hit the pillow.
No.
No, I don't bother.
Mm.
Again,
No.
it's energy. I used to waste so much energy, you know, and we might all feel exhausted today, you know, and not do what we used to do. And that's a different exhaustion. But the exhaustion that I used to have was because I was depleted in so many ways, because energetically my energy was just going out to everyone else and everything else.
Mm.
Thoughts, action, everything. Now I've pulled them in
Yep.
and I'm now more, you know, I'm picky about where I put my energy and where it goes now, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to create a little sanctuary routine kind of thing that pulls them back.
Yeah.
And it starts to happen, like get a little process in myself so that when it's starting.
Yeah.
to happen,
Well,
You
remember,
come back
do you
to
remember me
rest
saying
of-
about how Spirit said to me about 2 operators in my computer room?
oh, right.
Yep. So when I said to Spirit, you know, oh my God, why do I keep going into that same story, running over the old stuff? And I said, because there's 2 operators in your computer room. And instantly it gave me a picture. I just saw this computer room. I saw these 2 dudes standing in there and I knew which one I wanted to get out the door. So I'd go in, take this dude out the door, lock it behind him. And I had in there just what I wanted in there. And then it was sweet for so long. And then I'd realize he'd pick the lock and come back in. So I just marched back out. But for me, it was good because I had a picture.
Yeah.
I work well with picture.
Yeah, I like that.
It was great for me. It really, really helped.
Yeah.
Really helped.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a go.
It's a great. Yeah. Because
Awesome.
we don't need to, you know, like I keep saying right now, you know, it's very, very important that we start creating the world we want to live in. Not the one that's been given to us and the one, yes, we've created. We've all been a part of creating it, but now we've woken up to what we were creating. You know, it's time to gather ourselves together, pull back everything that we've sent out there, all the fragmented bits and all the thoughts and stories and, you know, everything our egos created, and just let them go, integrate it, whatever, and just start a new story, start a new, you know, idea of who you wouldn't want to be. Like, check out, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are we? Who am I? And what is it that I really, because there were parts of me that was still projecting, and there were parts of me that were, you know, if somebody sort of met me, they might have this idea of me because I was still involved with certain things or certain people or whatever that weren't actually in alignment with where I was. You know, I was just there. That was it, you know, not really considering it too much. But once I cleaned up and I realized there was a lot of people around me that actually I don't really align with.
Yeah.
And yet I was making time for them. I was giving energy to them. And it was like, well, you know, trying to be friends, if you want to say, you know, be like that. But it was like, well, yeah. And now I don't need to.
Yeah.
And again, it's that, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
Just like my wardrobe, I needed to have a clean out.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes you do. And it's very freeing.
Yes. How good does it feel
Yeah. It is
when you
very
get rid of all
freeing.
your old baggage?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's important now, I feel like, really now, for where we're heading, where we want to head. And like I say, when you know, whatever you put your energy into, you're empowering it to be there. So it's, you know, checking what you're putting your energy into as to what you're empowering to be on the planet. If you are wanting something to leave that you don't like and you're still paying attention to it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's only going to grow.
Yeah, I
by
think it's so
your
important to ask
energy.
yourself those questions, isn't it?
Mm.
Just asking the questions, checking in with yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Listening to the answers that you give yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you, Guinevere. So we've got some beautiful viewers that have been online with us, and Guinevere's just said, thank you so much, ladies. The conversation has been perfect. Yeah, it takes a bit of, you know, again, I'll say this time, in this moment in time now, where it's really, really important that we pay attention and focus on only the things that we love and what we really want in our life. And that is people as well. People going to establishments even, you know, that actually don't serve us or don't deserve our energy and our self there. It's not time to waste things at the moment.
Yeah, I've become very picky now.
Yes,
My
me
little
too.
experience, Dave, I've become very picky.
Yeah. It's a good thing. It is a good thing. Yeah. Wow. That was lovely.
Mm.
I loved that one.
Yeah.
We never quite know where we're going to end up, do we?
No, it's great, isn't it? We just free flow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I hope everybody enjoys our conversation, because we do.
Yeah, we certainly
do.
Mm.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Well,
And
if we didn't, they wouldn't be enjoying it, would they? If we weren't having fun.
no.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think it's lovely, you know, definitely lovely when others come in on the conversation as well as these ladies have today, and really appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Bev. I know you've still got a bit of a cough going on there, but at least you're able to come online now. It was terrible.
Awake.
Yeah. And thank you, Claudia.
No worries.
Thank you for making this, and definitely thank you to our audience and to all of you, those who share these calls and these recordings. And as always, I'll edit and put it up, not probably until the next, I don't know, it'll be, I'm not home for a few days yet, so when I get home.
Okay. Beautiful.
Mwah. Love you,
Okay.
girls.
Yes. See you all in a
Great
fortnight.
year.
Yes, a fortnight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Mm.
We're still on live.
Yeah.